Today I robbed my employees of an important lesson and I corrected it immediately. This is what happened. So when I entered the building this morning, there were a couple of discussions, and then I went to the second side and there were more discussions. And then when I sat down with the people, it came up that there was a quality mistake made by somebody that basically set the production back, because now we had to correct it and welding was affected, and at the end also the customer, because the lead time was now beyond the requested delivery date. And that's not the first time that had happened. And since the pressure is high, I went directly into action mode. And that was the mistake that I did. And that's how I robbed my employees of the chance how to learn from that mistake and how to deal with it properly. Because of my personality, I know that for a fact, and many people are the same way, especially if they own a business or if you are a team leader or a manager, is if you are confronted with a problem, you immediately tend that you want to solve it. You don't think about, like, the first reflection is not, okay, how can my team learn from that? But especially if the pressure is high, you tend to go directly into action mode and try to solve the problem as fast as you can, get to the root cause, get a containment action into plan, and then deal with all the other stuff later. And that's exactly what I did. So I got the affected parts, then I got a demonstration on what happened, and then I went to the guy who did the mistake in order to find out what happened, how did it happen, why did it happen, is this a tool problem, is it a process problem, is it an understanding problem, a people problem? I didn't know. So I tried to get to the root cause. It's like basically the 5 why analysis. We can cover that in another video. But I started immediately taking action and drilling down. And that robbed a lot of people of the important lesson on how to deal with things like that. And I should have known better, because a couple of weeks ago, we were actually sitting down and discussing about how we're going to handle if something like that happens. But nevertheless, here I was, and here I made a mistake. And the worst thing is, I didn't realize actually until after I left the building for the day. So what did I do? I arrived at home and I immediately wrote an email. First of all, I apologized for making that mistake, because it's entirely on me. I shouldn't have done that. They brought it up and I should have said what I then outlined in the email. And this is what I did. I basically started the email with apologizing that I took care of that problem and I shouldn't have done it. And here's why. And I explained why I shouldn't have done it, because it robbed everybody from the experience on how to deal with that the proper way and go through the proper process cycle, which is a continuous improvement cycle. So I cheated basically the quality manager, because he didn't get a chance to deal with it properly. I cheated our production leaders because they didn't get to learn from it. I cheated the supervisor because he didn't get to learn from it. The only person that may have taken something out of it was the production guy. But realistically, I'm not gonna close the cold loop on it, just because I don't have time for that. I just deal with the hot loop. And that's even worse, because then that robs also the individual who made the mistake of being protected and being explained about in the cold loop. You basically ensure that the same problem can't happen again and again and again. You implement corrective actions, which wouldn't have happened. So I wrote the email, I explained it, I apologized for it, and I assigned the task to the right people. And I made sure I put everybody into the email. The production leader, the supervisor doesn't have an email, but I'll sit down with him on Wednesday. The quality manager and the person who brought it up, in order to learn from that and in order to make sure that that doesn't happen again. And now the thing is, I have to hold myself accountable of not making the same mistake twice. So if you own a business, or if you are a manager or a team leader, be aware of that. If you get presented with any problem, doesn't have to be a quality problem, but it can be any other problem. If you get confronted with a problem, the moment you walk in, the first response should not be that you take the problem and then you try to figure out what happened. But you should make sure the right people know about the problem and the right people take charge to solve the problem. That's the most important thing. Otherwise, nobody can learn from that, and you will be stuck solving the problems over and over and over again, because they will always land on your desk. And that's the lesson I learned today, and that's the lesson I wanted to pass on to you guys. So don't make the same mistake. If you make the mistake, correct it. Okay? Most of the time we walk out of a meeting and we think about, I should have handled that differently. It's not a problem. Just openly admit that you should have done it differently, lay out what you should have done differently, assign the task to the right people, and make sure they do it. I wish you a great day. Take care, and I talk to you tomorrow. Bye, guys.